is The Brain Truth with Allison Jordan. Repair, renew, reclaim. And now your host, Allison Jordan.
Hi, everybody. Oh my God. It's my first show. It's The Brain Truth, the very first show. I'm here, I got here and I thought it was going to be we were going to have champagne. I brought a bottle. I thought I was going to have all my people in here. It was just me by myself. But see, I'm going to remember that when my show go number one. And I'm going to be like, nah, don't be trying to come. Don't try to come when it's all huge and everything, y'all. Anyway, that's all. I got Earl here. That's all that matters. Welcome to The Brain Truth, everybody, on intellectualradio.com. This is our first show, and I am super excited. I'm nervous. I tried to quit a few times over the past few weeks, but I made it. And I just want to say hi. Did y'all like that intro? Okay, so the legendary Jesse Sanders. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a very well-known DJ. Love can't turn around, blah, blah. Anyway, Google him. He did that music for me. That was original music. That's his voice. And then Jeff Morrow, who is like the voiceover guru, he did all the production for Empire. And he likes vocal coach like Jennifer Hudson, everybody. He did another intro for me and an outro and all. I mean, I just feel so blessed. So that was my little intro. I don't know if y'all heard it, but you're going to hear it every week now. I want to thank my sponsors. My very first sponsor was Pretty 12 Cosmetics. She was my very first sponsor. I got to give it up to her. And then Gemini Labs testing. We pop up everywhere. We do COVID testing everywhere. Just a little swab. So I want to thank Vivian Ritter, who hooked us up with Gemini Labs, and Swabs and Swirls, which is a company I founded with Dr. Rita McGuire. And she is also one of my sponsors, Dr. Rita McGuire Lifestyle. She's also the co-founder of Wakana, which is a cannabis company. Anyway, if you want to find out how to be a sponsor, because I still need more sponsors and supporters and donations, because I got to pay for these lights. I got to pay for this beautiful mic, and he let me use his phone stand, and he got to go to work in the morning. He got a family. So just go to www.thebraintruth.com, www.braintruth.com, and go on there, find out more about the show, find out how you can support and how you can sponsor. And I'm going to be asking people to call in. So I want you guys to write down this number, 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. So write that down, because I'm asking y'all to call in tonight, because I'm going to, let people just kind of chime in and let me know how I'm doing. You want to say something, you want to give me a prayer, anything you want, just come on in. So I do want to do a disclaimer, because tonight I am going to sort of talk about a journey and why I'm here. So if there's people that are sensitive to some of the things I'm going to talk about, my journey and trauma that I've had in my life, you may want to, leave or turn me off, because I'm going to just tell it like it is. Like my mama said, tell it like a TI is. Okay. So that's what I wanted to do. Put a little disclaimer there first. Okay. So I just want to come on the show today without any guests and just be here as a woman to try to normalize the stigma of mental health. This is my story. This is my truth. And this is my why. So I have to do this because I have to go first, So I'm just kind of raising my hand. And I'm saying I'm going to go first, okay? I want to set the tone because I want to let you guys know that it's okay. It's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to talk about trauma. Sorry, that's my tissue. I brought it just in case. So here we go. So back in April of last year, I got a book deal. Woo! The name of my book is called Life Profoundly, and How I Became a Palm Tree. I was excited. I got signed by Lumen Publishing. Shout out to Marilyn. I hope you're watching. And so I just started writing my book. Like, okay, people want to know my life. As you know, I worked in the entertainment industry and did a lot of stuff and produced shows and And it was just going to be a really amazing book about my life. And so I started to write it. Do. And then all these memories and the stuff came up. I was molested at 10 by a family member. I later found out it was a cousin. He since have passed. I was molested at 12, and I was raped at 18 in college, my freshman year. A guy that I liked, I trusted. He put something in my red smoothie, or it wasn't a smoothie, it was one of those ices from like you get those little gulps or whatever. And he put that in my drink, and was what you would call a drug date rape. And I actually got pregnant from that and ended up having to have an abortion. So I started having these panic attacks. And on top of that, it was the pandemic. So I was locked in the house and I started having these panic attacks. I started having nightmares. I was calling 911. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was going to the emergency room like every day, every other day. And I just was drowning. I was falling. It was debilitating. I remember telling my husband, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'm like, something's not right. Something's wrong with me. And oh, just go to sleep, relax, you'll be fine. But it was something wrong with me. Okay. Most people didn't even know. There are people that were coming by my house, dropping food off to me, and I was just crying. I was so grateful. I couldn't leave the room. I couldn't sleep. And so on June 27th, I went to St. James emergency room because I was literally tachycardia. My hands were like this. I couldn't even move them. My son, I remember he was bending my hands down like, mommy, mommy, mommy. He was trying to straighten my hands out. And I went to St. James Hospital and they looked in the computer and they saw that I had been there so many times that they ended up signing a petition to transfer me to River Edge Hospital, which is a psychiatric hospital. But before I go into that, I want to kind of stop there for a minute because I want to tell you about my journey in the hospital. But before that, I was really doing everything that I could. I didn't know what was going on with me. And I remember watching Ayanna Van Sant. She had some morning shows during COVID and it was this prayer thing and the journey. And I was watching it and I was watching it. And I was just reaching for things to try to self-help. And then she had talked about a woman by the name of Dr. Ivy Hilton. And I went to visit her. She had the sound spa and she's got this beautiful voice and it was healing. And I was still struggling, but I became friends with Dr. Ivy Hilton. I started calling her and she would speak life into me and pray with me. I was calling my mother. She was praying with me and I was still struggling. And so Dr. Ivy Hilton ended up introducing me to a woman by the name of Dr. Sister Jenna. And I remember watching what she used to have online called the Spiritual Vaccine. She's on YouTube. You can Google her. She runs the Meditation Museum and she's one of the top thought leaders. She's a lot of celebrities, private. I don't want to tell everything because she's humble. But I started watching her and I felt a little bit like I got it, right? And so I wrote her a letter and I have a little bit of the letter. And this was on May 11th, 2020. And I said, Sister Jenna, I'm now desiring a path of mental clarity and spiritual balance. I want to be healthy. I want to be free from fear. And I just want to embody love and peace every day in an authentic way. I believe that I can be transformed into the person I am supposed to be. I am just vulnerable and I'm finally honest with myself that I need guidance and I need help now. So the panic attacks kept getting worse, but I felt like that planted that in the universe and I left it there. And so I ended up going into the psychiatric hospital on June 27th, River Edge Hospital. And it was during the pandemic. I was in an ambulance riding by myself. I got there, they take your phone. You couldn't call anybody. I was scared. I was alone. They put you in this room. And then that's your journey. And I remember one day the psychiatrist was like, oh, so you're going to talk today? And I said, I've never met you before. What are you talking about? I'm going to talk today. He goes, I've been talking to you every day for 9 days. And I was like, no way. I've never met you. He's like, 9 days. And at that point, I knew there was something major about mental health. Here I am. Everybody knows me. I'm strong. I produce shows. I do this. I do that. I can sit here and run down my resume. You can Google me. And yet 9 days of my life is missing somewhere. And that's when I went in that room and I got on my knees and I started to pray. And I started to ask God to cover me. And I had made a commitment to him that if you got me out of here, I would dedicate my life to mental illness, mental health, mental education. At the time, I didn't know what God had in store for me. And I woke up one night and I remember seeing my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old and my 18-year-old, my 22-year-old self. They were standing right there. And I'm like crying and screaming. And they are like crying, like, save us, help me. I literally was seeing this. And there's a woman by the name of Dorothy, a nurse there, been there for 30 something years. And when you have sometimes these manic things in a psychiatric hospital, they inject you with a combination of Benadryl and Ativan to sort of calm you down, especially if you're kind of like out of control. And they were going to, because I was just like freaking out, like, oh my God, oh, I'm seeing these things. And she said, hold on, stop. And she ended up letting everybody leave the room. And she said, there's a difference, and I've seen it before, of clinical depression and spiritual depression. And what I think you're experiencing is spiritual depression. You got to leave those young girls here. You got to do the work to move in your future, and you've got to start praying. So I called my husband and said, bring me my Bible. So I started praying every day. I saw my grandmother came to me. This is real stuff. Like, and she told me to find her Bible. You need to find my Bible. Momo, my dad's mother, and my mother's mother, Mamone and Momo. And she said, I wrote on every page of the Bible. And I'm like, I didn't know you could write on every page of the Bible. I know now. And she had paper stuck in there, and there was a scripture that she had in the middle of it. And she wanted me to get it. And at the time, nobody knew where the Bible was. And I was calling everybody who was looking for this Bible, which brought everybody together because they had to find this Bible. She kept telling me, find the Bible. And I'll read that scripture to you. I've never told anybody what the scripture was, but I'm going to read it later. But that's when I started my journey of, this is bigger than myself, right? And so NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, one of the prerequisites to work for them or volunteer for them is that you either have to have a mental illness or know someone or be a caretaker. And they come into the psychiatric hospitals and they sort of talk to you and they process things with you. And so I was just kind of obsessed with these people from NAMI. They were coming and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to work for you guys. I'm going to do stuff with you. And I don't know, I just need to talk to these people and tell me your journey. And started waking up because I had lost 40 pounds. My hair was matted. I looked a mess, actually, but it's okay. I was being reborn. So I started waking up and showing up to all the groups, participating in the groups, talking, drawing, painting, doing everything I was supposed to do. And on July 15th, I was discharged. I'm diagnosed with PTSD, social anxiety, panic disorder, and depression. They prescribed me antidepressants which I took. I had an anxiety pill that I had to take, and I had a PRN, which you take when you're having a depressive moment or an anxiety attack, along with my coping mechanisms that I had to use. And that's what I took home with as my toolkit. But when I got home, my husband was taking care of me. He was cooking for me. And I was like, oh my God. My marriage was restored because we were having some marital problems. I mean, when I tell you that I was not able to get out of the bed every day, my son was helping me. Mental health and depression is debilitating. Anybody that's watching, Anybody that's listening, mental health is debilitating. It hurts. And it was a battle of indescribable proportion. So my husband ended up leaving me on September. Sorry. In September, my husband left me. And I'm sorry. He left me, and I had to start to clump not only the past drama, and I had to clump that pain along with it. So that's when I had to cling on to God. And it wouldn't be until today that I can actually say and know why. Depression and mental health is real. It can occur for any reason ever. And it has many different triggers. It can be from a stressful life event such as bereavement, divorce, illness, redundancy, or job or money worries. And we will explore those later on. But it actually does something to the brain. It's called the neurotransmitters. The GABA. They're specifically believed to be linked to mood and anxiety disorders. So I want you guys to know this isn't like you're crazy or something's wrong with you or the devil's in you. These are real chemical things that are happening. I mean, my vitamin D was at a 6 and it should be at a 69. Thank you, Aisha. I see you, baby. We have to up our vitamin D. We have to go out in the sun. Every time you exercise, it gives you 15 minutes. If you exercise for 15 minutes, it gives you 2 hours of no anxiety and depression. So exercise, it helps with the serotonin that's slipping from your brain. When you wake up and your heart is racing, that's cortisol. And then your body goes into what's called a fight or flight. And we try to fight it off. And that's why you need antidepressants, because they do what's called a re-up to your brain, reset. And I'm a person that does not like taking medication, but I needed to take it. I needed a reset. When people are like, well, you can just pray. I couldn't pray. I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't even take a shower. I couldn't even eat. I lost 40 pounds. So I needed a reset so that I can be present. You understand? Present to what I was doing. So anyway, I needed to have an aftercare. Once you get discharged from the psychiatric hospital, you need to have follow-up behavioral health support. So I started calling all these places, and I want to give a special shout out to Angela Ratcliffe. I don't know if she's watching, but she also owned the behavioral health, and she helped me through it. She was on the phone with me when they were transferring me. She was my rock early on, and she was like kind of going off on me a couple of times because she wanted me to get better, but I didn't see what I didn't see. I wrote her a nice little letter and told her I thanked her. But I was calling around because I needed a behavioral health therapist, because you need cognitive behavioral therapy. And I called a place called Sertoma in Matson, and a woman by the name of Lisa Guardiola, I hope I'm saying it right, Lisa, answered the phone. And she was like, hi, Sertoma. I said, I need a therapist. And I see you, Tim. And she was like, well, I don't normally answer the phone. It's COVID, whatever. I'm on the board of NAMI. She said that. And I said, oh my God, did you say NAMI? And I started telling her my story. She didn't even ask me about it. I just decided to tell her. And I told her my story. And I'm like, oh my God, I was in the hospital and I met the people from NAMI. She goes, well, we have a board member seat coming up. And if you want to apply for it now, then I was in no condition to be on a board of any sort, but I filled out the application and I put my name in on the ballot to be nominated to be on the board. And it went away. I didn't hear from anybody. So I ended up meeting Miss Laura, who was my first therapist. Her name is Laura Costello. She's amazing. Which camera am I supposed to look at? This one? She's amazing. Can I curse? Huh? That one right there? Oh, okay. I'm going to have to put a couple of dollars in there. So this therapist that I had, The first day I was with her, she said, that bitch anxiety, she don't like you. And depression, that hoe that be with her, fuck them. We gonna fight together and we gonna check them and you gonna get out of here. We gonna see you on the other side. And when she said that, I was like, okay, so this is a therapist for life. You know, she was like, we going after them hoes, like for real. Like it was war, right? Because anxiety lies to you. Anxiety tells you that no one loves you. Nobody likes you. You're nothing. You're nobody. Depression makes you feel worthless. Trust and believe me, that is your brain. That is lies that your brain is telling you. That is not true. And so those are the things that you have to start tricking your mind and you have to start working towards that. So I found a couple of months I'm in therapy and I'm doing a heck of a job. And then I went to my inbox. Now, remember I told you guys about Sister Jenna. When I wrote her that letter, like back before I went into the hospital. Well, she wrote me back and I found it. And she wrote, Dear Alika, that's my spiritual name. The soul is moving through this last patch of darkness. Can I ask you to hold tight? The dark night of the soul where the past is no longer you and you're not sure of the future. So stay present and be. Deep breathing, exercise, journal, speak to good folks, watch comedy, dance, sing, pray. For 21 days, watch the magic. I love you and I know you will be well. Stories, that's all they are, stories. So I started going to Bible class. I started reading my Bible, started meditating. I started praying. I started walking. I started exercising. I started doing diet. Dr. Joanne, who is my naturopath, my mom started praying with me, praying over me, standing for me, my family. And here's that scripture, Psalm 31, 9, 14 through 15, that scripture that I told you about. There were two. Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am distressed. My eyes grow weak with sorrow, my soul and body with grief. But I trust in you, Lord. I say you are my God. And Jeremiah 17, 14, heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved. For you are the one I praise. Those are the Bible scriptures that my grandmother had. And those are the things that I have on my wall. And those are the things that sustain me. So in 7 months, I titrated off of my antidepressants. I haven't been on any PRN. I haven't been on anything. And what titration means, those are the orders generally defined as when medication is progressively either increased or decreased. Mine was decreased under the supervision of a psychiatrist. So I was able to actually get off of it. So this is my journey. This is what works for me. I'm not saying if you're still on medication, get off of it, titrate. I mean, it's just what God had put before me was my toolbox. And I don't know what your toolbox, but this show is about offering different resources, offering different ideas. I'm going to have people from my past, my journey, healers, spiritual healers, pastors, doctors, clinicians, nurse practitioners, and other consumers is what we call ourselves, who are people suffering and living with, I shouldn't say suffering, living with mental health. And so today, so about a few weeks after I filled out my application, or a few months, Lisa called me. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And she said, Allison, guess what? She said, you've been nominated to be on the board of NAMI. And when I tell you I screamed like I won the lottery. You would have thought I had won $10 million. Because see, I planted that, remember? I planted that. And so not only am I a board member for NAMI, I brought my little stuff. I am QP certified in suicide prevention. I am a youth mental health first aider. And this was given by the National Council for Behavioral Health. And I am a NAMI Connections support group facilitator, not only for NAMI,
Chicago and NAMI, Illinois, but also for NAMI South Suburbs, which I sit on the board for, who's also one of my partners and one of my sponsors. And I want you guys to go to my website, thebraintruth.com, because you can click on the resource page and there you can connect to NAMI, Illinois, NAMI, Chicago, and find out the stuff that we're doing. And I just want to give you guys some statistics because since COVID, since the pandemic, I'm going to read this, more than 42% of people surveyed by the U.S. Census reported 42% symptoms of anxiety and depression, an increase from 11% from the previous year. Okay. Last year, wait a minute, I'm gonna keep reading. Hold on. According to Kaiser Family Foundation, that's called KFF, increases in alcohol consumption, 15% since the pandemic, and the worsening of chronic health conditions are 13%. So people who are suffering from like heart conditions, that's why people were getting strokes and heart attacks. They weren't dealing with the depression and stress, right? That was because of the pandemic. And then, of course, all of us experienced George Floyd, didn't we? I mean, that was PTSD for the whole entire country. And the National Law Review said that divorce increased by 46% in the U.S., with newer couples being the most likely to file divorce. So people who had just got married during the pandemic, they all pretty much over half of them got divorced or filed for divorce. Last year, over 30,000 people called the Illinois Domestic Violence Hotline for help. There was almost 20% of the 150 calls a day and text messages, 35% were for shelters. 500 of them were for safety measures. So that means they put people in Ubers and they got them to a safe place. And then remember Michelle Obama, she said that she's dealing with some form of low-grade depression due to the coronavirus lockdown, racial strife in the U.S., and the Trump administration. So what I want to do with my show is I want to talk about it. I want to be authentic with it. And I want to remove the stigma. I want to show that a strong Black woman or a strong person, I want to change that narrative. I want to say that strength comes from being honest, from being vulnerable, from telling the truth, from having a breakdown and telling people about it, and going through depression and anxiety is okay. It's okay. God has an assignment on my life. I know that. I almost gave up. I almost gave up doing this show. I had to call the Warm Line. The Warm Line is a 24-hour line that you call when you're in trouble and they process things with you. I called the Warm Line 2 nights ago and spoke to a guy by the name of Dwayne. And at Sertoma, the behavioral place in Matson, they have a Warm Line. And he spoke life into me and he processed things with me. And I know that anxiety and depression, it can manipulate you, right? It's cruel. It's really cruel. And people don't understand it. And I want to make sure that this show has a way to let people understand. I believe when you go home from the doctor and they give you medication, it's a directions on there on when to take it, what to take it. If I had cancer and I had a port in me, they'll teach somebody how to give me infusions or they'll have somebody come. But there's nothing that is given to people discharged from an institution for family members and friends to know what to say and what not to say. Triggers. Suicide ideation is up because if you're depressed, there's stuff you just shouldn't tell a person that's mentally depressed. You don't tell them you got the devil in you. You should just get up or get over it or with all those things. But people don't know what they don't know. So people are going to say stuff unknowingly. But we've got to change that. People need a toolkit. When I go home, there should be an advocate with me or anybody checking out of a mental hospital. And that person needs to go through some 5-minute training or some pamphlet and say, do not do this when she gets home. Do not do that, period. And that's what we're going to talk about. And those are the things I'm going to lobby for. Those are the things that I want to change, right? So anybody out there that's experiencing anxiety and depression, God chooses the strongest of us. Know that, and you're not alone. And to my husband, I forgive you, and I love you, and I understand, because he himself was dealing with mental health, his family, his mother, and he didn't know what he didn't know. And I probably was showing up in a way that was worth leaving? I don't know, but I'm not that person today. And I haven't got a chance to talk to him or tell him, but that's okay too, right? Because, like Sister Jenna said, those are stories. And I was living in a story, and he played his role, and now he's playing a different role. And I'm playing a new role. And so I'm okay. You know, it's just when you don't know about mental health and you can't save a person or you can't recognize it when it's happening, you lose people. And I want to be a beacon of light to you, to tell you, recognize it so that you can transform those relationships. So I've written down a list because I thought I was alone, like tonight. But when I started writing names on this paper, and I'm sorry, it's so many names of people that have been standing for me. So it's not in any order, but Sarita Talbert, Tony Williams, Felicia Moore, Deontay and his husband, Darion, Tatiana, Jalen, my sister, Krista, who I think is one of the strongest people, and my niece, Zion, of course, Sister Jenna, Dr. Ivy Hilton, Drew, Pastor Carol Brown, my therapist, Emily and Laura, Angela Ratcliffe, my mom, Pastor Reverend Jeanette Jordan, Rita McGuire, Uncle Fred, my heart, Derek Durr, Cocola Reynolds, who's gonna be my producer. I think she's watching. Aunt Deborah, Lisa Guardiola, Tiffany Fowler, Dr. Joanne, Alana Anthony, the Johnson family, Nicole Zyriel, Nikki, Kim, Larry Cherry, Jeff Morrow, Tony Dixon, Aisha Lee, Jesse Saunders, Kim Spies, Allison Jordan. There's another Allison, she's my sister, and Sam, Dr. Beneda Cole and her daughter Bella, Ava Page, Q Johnson, Terrence Nichols, Aisha Charleston, Rael's dad, my ex-husband's dad, Bill Crawford, James Johnson, Rachelle Stewart, who I'm going to have on the show, is going to tell her story, just profound. Carmelita Hubbard, Kumo D, which most people don't know is one of my best friends, Rhonda, Charlonda, Simone, Michael Cox, Senior and Junior, who is my family, who's going through their own stuff and still checking in on me. Christine Wilkins, who's going through her own stuff and still checking in on me. My cousin Kim Whitted, Karen Morris, who does hair while she's helping me, doing people's hair on the phone, trying to work through my anxiety. Claudia Simmons, Yoli Cox, who checks in on me. Sheree and Erica Hill, Rachel Nance, Prudence Story, Don Zio, Brian Kimbrough, Eric Clark, who sends me scripture, Gwen Baxter, Pastor Carol Clemens, Giselle Morris, and my godson, Africa Porter, Tammy Stone, Philander Ratcliffe, and my son, Jordan Hodges, who was my rock, and my best friend, Corliss King, and my best friend, Stacy, and my neighbor, Audrey, who has to hear me crying in the middle of the night. Sorry. And my sister, Kim Monglee. Those are the people that's been just with me. I'm Charlie forgot. I probably know a whole bunch more. Sean Knight. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of people. But there's no cure for mental illness. But there's lots of effective treatments. So I just want you guys to know that. As long as you live right, use your coping, you'll be okay. So I don't know if anybody wants to call in. I think I got a good 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that. And if you guys want to call in, the number is 708-223-8953. I would love for you guys to call in. Anybody out there watching, tell me what you think, what you want to add to the show. Do you want to come on the show? Do you want to make a donation? Or you want to say something to me? Call right now, 708-223-8953. So when I close, and I'll take some calls, I wrote this down and I keep this on my wall because I want to remind people of this. But I just want to get to the show part, how this happened. So I came here and I sat in for Roman Morrow for 1 week, and then I sat in another week. And then after the second time, Earl Winfrey, who's sitting over here, he's like, "Get that girl show." And then I go in the room with Wanda, and she's like, "Okay, girl, what you gonna have your show about?" I'm like, "I don't know." He just told me this 5 minutes ago. And I was like, okay. So I told her my story, just like I told you guys. And she's like, oh my God, I'm getting chills. There was a hospital that wanted to do a show on mental health. They were calling the station. She was like, it was a tall white guy. He was good looking. I don't remember his name. And I said, well, okay. And we just didn't get around to it. We didn't know. And I said, what was the hospital? Y'all, she said, River Edge Hospital. All I can do is look to the hills for where they came. And I said, God, you're my executive producer. That's the hospital I was in for 19 days. That's the hospital I got on my knees and I prayed. That's the hospital that I said that I was going to dedicate my life to mental health. And that's why I'm here right now. So what do I do? Push this? Hi, this is Allison from the Brain Troop. I got my first caller.
Hi.
Who's this?
I love you.
Who's this? I don't recognize.
Tammy.
Hi, Tammy Stone.
Tammy Stone.
Thank you for
I said, I have to
calling.
call my girl. I got to
Oh.
call my girl.
I love you, Tammy. Tammy Stone. So if you guys don't know, I'm also a boxing promoter. And she is my matchmaker. That's the woman that she's more than a matchmaker. She's my new friend. She's my mentor. She's a former professional boxer. Blah blah blah. She's Google her. But I love you, Tammy, and you've been there with me. And I appreciate
have. You almost made me cry tonight. I just watching you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am. And you know a little bit of my journey, and I was like, man, I got to call in because I'm thinking of a subject that I'm sure probably more millions that we can even think about. We're not thinking about these people.
Yeah.
And you know, I go through my own journey of depression and anxiety and stress and PTSD. My whole life is, you know how my life is. It's a whole different movie there for us. We're both we need to make a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. But it's about those that's thinking about suicide and not those that are thinking. They say this word right. That their family's going to be better without them.
Yeah.
We should have a segment, and I would love to talk about the topic because I've lost two people, as you know, to suicide. One was the love of my life, my husband.
Wow.
And those that are thinking about suicide do not think about nothing but the family's better off without them. When in reality, you know, and I've even begged my own fighter, please, you don't know what you're leaving if you go to do this, because I've been there for 13 years.
Mm.
There's no healing. There's just coping with it. So if anybody's thinking about suicide, they need to listen to my pain and my story and my children's story to know we're not okay. We know it's okay not to be okay, but we're still not okay, and we never will be for the rest of our lives because we are survivors of a daily pain for the rest of our lives. And I know it takes a lot for a person to pull that trigger or to pop those pills or whatever they do to end it.
Yeah.
As graphic as it can be, but they don't realize the damage they are leaving behind after they're gone.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Tammy? You
What?
don't do the whole talk show. I'm gonna bring you on the dang on show.
I think that is
I'm gonna
that
bring you. We can talk about boxing and we can talk about PTSD. We can talk about athletes with it and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So do I have
definitely.
somebody else? Because there's some other people trying to call. I got 5 minutes.
Okay. Definitely.
I love
definitely.
you.
You got 5 minutes. I love you.
I'm gonna bring you on the show. I'm gonna bring you on the show.
Gotcha.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, hon.
Good night.
Good.
So what do I do? Hi, this is Allison from the Brain Troop. I got my second caller.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Allison. You know who this is?
Who is this?
It's Kim.
Hi, Kim Spies. Okay, so Kim Spies is a well-known boxing, I don't even know. She works for Deontay Wilder. That's all I know, and his wife. So anyway, she's also a manager and works for the WBC in Europe. Hi, and was with me in the hospital when I snuck away, remember? I snuck in, I got my phone and I text you.
Yes, yes.
I text you and my friend Allison Jordan.
I just want to say, first of all, I'm so proud of you and congratulations. And, you know, COVID has not been kind to a lot of people. You know, it exemplified people's mental struggle.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, lockdown was extraordinarily difficult on me because my isolation from the world it's still continuing because of my situation as a caregiver.
Yeah.
And which is really my first and foremost job.
Mm-hmm.
And you spent a lot of time, even through your struggles, checking on me. So I can't. It's gonna make me cry because there are very few people who were concerned about my mental health. And you honestly were probably the only people that were.
I love you. I'm gonna have you on the show too, but I got a whole bunch of calls. So I love you. I gotta get as many calls as I can get. I love you so much.
I love you too. Okay. And thank you for doing this, and congratulations. This is you're doing such a service to everyone, and it's so wonderful, and I appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. I love you. Bye
bye.
I'm sorry. Oh, hi, it's Allison of the Brain Truth. I like saying that.
Hey,
who's this?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What's up, Big Al?
Oh, Brian. Hi, Brian.
What's going
so
down?
Brian worked for me when I was married to Craig Hodges, and he was our everything. I don't want to say houseboy because you were more than that. You were our life boy. But hi, Brian. I love you. I love you.
Oh, no doubt. I've been checking it out, and man, tell the brother over here just getting emotional.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Well, you know, with me with the VA, man, the PTSD is real.
Yeah.
Real deal.
Well, I'm gonna have you on the show too. I already got all my guests, everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I got to wrap up my show. I don't know, they're not giving no overtime, but I love you. Thank you for calling me.
All right,
okay,
sure.
bye-bye.
Take care.
I think, is that it, or is more people calling? Oh my goodness. Hi, it's Allison. Talk fast.
Well, hey, Allison, how are you, superstar?
Who is this?
Vera Giles Norris. I am sitting here just listening to you, and I'm thinking, you better rock it, girl.
Oh, thank you.
Such a great. Hey, Earl. Hey, everybody. Intellectual Radio. But I just want to say that this is so needed right now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was just holding a conversation with some good friends, and we were talking about depression and stress, anxiety, and some of the things that people could do to actually release the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to share maybe just 3 things with you, and then we could talk more. But one of the things that I said that people need to do is to do some earthing. Go outside, take your shoes off, and just walk through the grass.
I did that. Yes.
You did that, right?
I
so
did that.
That works.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Connect with the earth. Yes.
Connect with the earth and be willing to hug a tree.
I hugged a tree too.
And release that pressure, release that stress, release that depression, and give it to the tree and say, you know what? You do something with it. I need to let it go.
Yes.
And last but certainly not least, be willing to purge. Some things you're going to have to let go. Material things, clothing, you need the space. But then you're going to also have to release yourself from toxic friends and family members. And just, tell them, hey, you know what? Or not hit you where the good Lord split you, because you need that time to heal and to get balanced. But again, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I appreciate you. You're looking beautiful.
Thank
and so
you.
Everybody from Intellectual Radio, I say hello.
Thank you. Love you. Hi, it's Allison. The Brain Truth.
This is Derek.
Hi, Derek. I thought you were supposed to be here with me to hold my hand. Oh, hi, Derek Durr. This is light heavyweight champion Derek Durr, and my best friend, and my guy that was there helping me in the middle of the night when I was having panic attacks. Remember?
I remember. I just want to call and let you know it's good to see you in this space and your purpose, seeing firsthand what you went through, and you are a beacon of light for everyone. And I just want to thank you for helping me in those dark days when goddamn it, you call the dog might come. You know.
You said the dog might come.
Yeah. On real dog days, so I want to thank you for sacrificing just your comfortability for us and being authentic and open about what you've been through with mental health and all the stuff that you've been through. So I want to thank you on behalf of me and behalf of everyone, just being authentic and let us into your world, and we can learn a lot from video fish. So I appreciate that, and I love you.
I love you too.
I'm rooting for you.
Make me some cauliflower bites then.
You got it, dear.
All right. Love you. Bye. Oh my goodness, y'all. Every day I remind myself to redirect my pain to my purpose. I will get through the day because I have to continue to hear God's voice and to do God's purpose for my life. So tune in every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard. And I pray that you learn how to repair, renew, and reclaim. I want to thank Earl Winfrey and Wanda and Roman Morrow. Tune in to Intellectual Radio, incredible programming. Keep supporting us. Come back next week. Call me every week. I like answering it and saying, oh, it's Allison Rachel. And I love you all. And thank you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Hi,